The chair recognizes the honourable member for Kalani.
Struggling here with this cough. Mr. Deputy, I'll be very brief this morning. First, I'd like to extend condolence to Dr. Sands and the Sands family on the death of his mother. I'd also like to extend condolence on the family of the former Commissioner of Police, Farquharson, and also condolence to the family of Bishop Lloyd Smith. I want to remind the government sector that the summer program is progressing, and as yet, Kalani has not received one application for any member within the Kalani constituency to be hired. Is this the norm, or I had a meeting yesterday and my constituents were asking me whether they can find at least 2 summer jobs. I don't know how many you gave to various different constituencies, but we need at least 2. If it's your policy to give none, then I accept your policy. But we deal with that at another date. I also want to remind members, Mr. Deputy, that the 7th of August, again, is Gambia Day, and I ask all to participate and support the community of Gambia in this historic event that has been going on from time immemorial. Mr. Deputy, I rise again today, blessed to give my contribution to this honorable House on behalf of the people of the Kalani constituency. The resolution before us today seeks this chamber's approval for becoming a member of the Interparliamentary Union, the IPU. It seeks for the constitution of a committee comprising 5 people to have responsibility for organization of relations and activities of Parliament with the Interparliamentary Union. It also seeks and approval of the making of guidelines by Parliament on how it will function as a member of the Interparliamentary Union. And the IPU, Mr. Deputy, is the worldwide organization of national parliamentarians. What initially was a small group of parliamentarians in 1889, dedicated to promoting peace through parliamentary democracy and parliamentary dialogue, is now a global organization with 179 members and 14 associate members. The organization states as one of its core components the facilitation of parliamentary democracy and empowering parliamentarians to promote peace, democracy, and sustainable development around the world. I support this resolution. The Bahamas has an old parliamentary tradition dating back to 1729. And as an independent sovereign country of 50 years, we have a healthy democracy where free speech and fair elections are cherished. The peaceful transfer of power is the norm. Bahamians are very engaged in politics and make their voices heard at every election. And the ideals of the IPU line up with the democratic and peaceful ideals we hold so dear. In a world where some of the worst types of populism are on the rise, it is always good to stand with organizations that advance democratic ideals and peaceful cooperation. The IPU says, I quote, "We work for peace, democracy, human rights, gender equality, youth empowerment, climate action and sustainable development through political dialogue, cooperation, and parliamentary action, end quote. These are ideals we share in our Bahama land. Mr. Deputy, I will get more into this topic as we debate the new parliamentary bill, but it is necessary now to say again that we must build a new parliament. Two of these buildings date to the beginning of the 19th century. The building of one started in the late 18th century. The limitations of these old buildings hamper the functioning of Parliament. There's inadequate space for members and the staff of Parliament. And just so the public would understand, to have just a slight insight as to the conditions here at Parliament, I would only briefly in 2 sentences talk about the bathroom. There's only one urinal facility, so if one individual is in, then others must wait in line or go and utilize the services of the bank or other adjoining businesses. Mr. Deputy, in the 21st century, we have one. Y'all don't have any? Mr. Deputy, in the 21st century, I think that is somewhat embarrassing. But I need not speak about the conditions that the clerk work in, and they do their utmost best and perform above the call of duty, considering the strenuous and stressful and inadequate conditions that they function at maximum capacity. And I need not speak of the conditions one is placed in, even to eat a sandwich or any item of such nature. But Mr. Deputy, I can go on and on and on and talk about the termites and other related entities or disturbances within this parliamentary building. Regardless of which party is in power, we must build a new parliament. We can't just keep talking and pledging. This generation of leaders must get it done. There's bipartisan consensus that a new parliament is needed. However, for some reason, we collectively have not gotten the job done. Now is the time to build a modern parliament fit for the purposes of the 21st century and beyond. It should be a beautiful and awesome place, especially as we are talking about the redevelopment of downtown. It would add to the redevelopment of downtown, and whatever is done with this particular building would add to the sightseeing or touring facility for tourists, as they have said repeatedly that there's nothing to do. As I've said, it should be a beautiful and awesome place, taking into consideration in its design the history of the peoples who have made up this chain of islands. It should not be small and meager. We must think big in the design and its scope. Mr. Deputy, for democracy to work, we, the elected members, must respect the traditions and conventions of our systems. We are not just governed by laws, we are also under a set of traditions and conventions that enrich the democratic experience. Cabinet ministers are especially expected to behave in an appropriate manner, respecting these traditions and respecting these conventions. The conduct of the Minister of Immigration of late has been unbecoming. I will talk about that very soon. His giving out of citizenship at a funeral is abnormal. Now, he is in another scandal regarding Chinese nationals, and the leader of the opposition spoke very extensively about that. I need not say anything. The minister clearly thinks there are no checks on his power, and he can do as he likes. But be assured, the day as this parliamentary session progresses, the minister will wake up sometime today as this session continues. That is not how our system works. It is time for this Prime Minister to relieve that rogue minister of his post. The sensitive work of immigration requires someone else as a minister. The current minister may be better assigned to a new and less demanding portfolio. And sometime today, we would help the Prime Minister in making such decision. Minister Bell's actions are a reflection on the Prime Minister and his government. Action must be taken, and it must be taken now, because that rogue minister can subsequently cause others to believe that they too can become rogue viral, which can be not only detrimental to the government, but detrimental to our country. Because people, not only here in the Bahamas, but people throughout the world is watching and listening. I've said to the Prime Minister on numerous occasions, and I will say it again, that as Prime Minister, one has to make decisions, very difficult decisions, that they may not necessarily like, but those decisions are made in the interest to protect the office of the Prime Minister. That office must be protected. They may not be decisions that one may personally like, but decisions has to be made. You would be confronted with difficult decisions because those decisions must be made, as difficult as they are, to protect the country. And individuals must understand that Prime Ministers may like decisions that they may not personally like, but decisions that has to be made. And I would hope that as the day progresses, and I speak further, that I would assist the Prime Minister in making such decision. And I would hope that that decision will be made before 4 o'clock, if not 5 o'clock. Mr. Deputy, I hope that our joining the IPU will help enrich this Parliament and bring us to greater cooperation with our sister parliaments around the world. And again, Mr. Deputy, I support this resolution, and I wait to say more and help our Prime Minister to make such a difficult decision. Sometimes I would always remember when the press was lambasting me with matters related to my brother. And I've said to them that if my brother or family members do anything wrong and they had to go to court, I would support them. That's family. It doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with what they've done, but I will protect them. And if my mother were to make a decision that is not right or lawful, I would disagree with my mother as much as I love her. But at the same time, I would spend every penny that I have ensure that my mother is protected and get the best advice, and my love for her or whomever would not change. But we must respect the law. We must make decisions that we don't like, but decisions that would protect our democracy, protect the office of the Prime Minister, and protect our country. Mr. Deputy, I support this resolution, and will have more to say later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member.